What's up everyone? So every once in a while I ask you guys to get a little creative. I need you guys to be able to picture this scenario that I'm about to present, and whatever I say in this video is going to be 100% facts. It might seem like I'm joking, but this is the reality of the situation. I feel like a lot of people agree with me on this topic, but in this environment we're not allowed to say these things out loud because, I don't know, people are scared of factual information. And if you are a hater and say that I'm wrong, then congratulations, you've just exposed yourself for being a scrub who sits on the bench handing out water to his teammates. But anyways, back to the game. I want you guys to take a look at these two guys that I'm about to put up on the screen. Here we have a professional soccer or football player named Cristiano Ronaldo, and here we have a professional basketball player by the name of LeBron James. Now imagine if Mr. Cristiano wakes up tomorrow and decides that he no longer wants to be called Cristiano. He's now going to be called Christina. Imagine if LeBron James wakes up tomorrow and calls himself LeBronda. Because both of these guys now identify as women, they will no longer be playing in the men's league. LeBronda and Christina will now play with the women. Can you imagine the destruction that these two would cause? LeBronda and Christina would shatter every record in their respective sports women's league in about 5 minutes. That's no exaggeration. Christina would score about 50 goals a game. LeBronda would legitimately put up godlike numbers, stats that no human has ever witnessed. Christina would cut through the opposing defense like a Jinsu knife. He would be the equivalent of the Flash. But you no longer need to imagine these scenarios because it's actually happened in real life. There is this individual, and I don't know their pronouns. You know, back in the day, we used to meet people and try to guess their age, but in 2021, we're out here trying to guess genders. But this individual once went by the name of Callum Mounsey. Now, Callum represented the Australian men's handball team, so he was obviously one of the best handball players in the entire country of Australia. Let's take a look at this post his team made talking about how great of a player he was. It says his physical presence and strength makes him the ideal candidate for the pivot position, and he's really looking forward to matching it with the world's best. Just take a look at this photo right here. Callum is picking up a grown man like it's his child. That's because Callum was 220 pounds, so about 100 kgs, an absolute beast of an athlete who competed with men his entire life. Now, Callum woke up one fine day and decided that he no longer could play in the men's division, and it's not because he got injured or lost love for the sport of handball, or, you know, that he got suspended from the league for using PEDs. Those weren't the reasons. It's because Callum was no longer a man. He is now a woman. He decided that he will be switching genders. Now, that doesn't bother me because, you know, you can do whatever the fuck you want as long as you're not bothering me. Anyways, Callum decided that the woman life was the way to go. Instead of competing with the men, which is about 25 quintillion times harder, Callum found out that if you just change your name to Hannah, grow your hair out, and wear a dress, you can now play sports with the women, right? Because that's equality in 2021. It would be discrimination if the women's league said that Hannah is not a woman. You can pull the discrimination card, whip that bitch out like it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, as I mentioned before, Callum goes by the name of Hannah. I don't know how you go from Callum to Hannah. Like, I would personally at least try to keep my woman name close to my man name. Like, I would have just named myself Callamina or like Callie or something like that, but she went with the most generic name possible. Now, I know you guys are very curious to see what Hannah looks like. Now, you might notice that something is a little off in this photograph. You know, just because you identify as a girl doesn't mean you magically lose the body that you had as a man. If I declared tomorrow that I identify as a cartoon, I won't magically turn into a 2D animation. You can clearly see that Hannah still has gigantic arms. She's still built the exact same as she was when she was a guy. And obviously, in a sport like handball, where you primarily use your arms, this would be unfair to the girls. It is a scientific fact that women are physically not as strong as men. That's why we've separated sports. And if you don't believe me, if you're a hater and think that I'm being unfair, let's take a look at a handball athlete who was born as a woman. You can clearly see these women who are the best female athletes in their sport. I literally have bigger arms than them. And if you're still not convinced, Hannah is both way taller and way heavier than these girls. Just because you identify as a woman doesn't mean you lose all your muscles. You don't get shorter. That's just not how science works, especially if you transition your gender at the age of 26 because that's what happened here. Now let's take a look at some of Hannah's highlights and you'll see exactly why she got banned from playing in the women's league. So let's roll out the highlight tape. Shit, if I was a coach, let me get her on my team. She is a literal cheat code in real life. You see how she just shrugged off this tackle like it was nothing? She had 3 girls guarding her and still was able to launch a missile into the net. Like, this is obviously unfair. I think even the craziest of feminists should be able to look at this and acknowledge just how unfair all of this is. But as a coach, this is the way to do it. I would have an all-trans team. Like, we would not lose a single game. I would go down as the greatest coach of whatever sport it is that I'm coaching. And even for the trans athlete, they're securing the bag too, right? Who wouldn't want to go down in the record books? Because this shit is hilarious to watch. And I would even argue that it improves the quality of the sport. I would watch every women's basketball game if there was a trans athlete who just came in and absolutely obliterated everyone. Someone who could come in and average 50 plus points per game while throwing down inhuman dunks. So we all saw how Hannah absolutely dicked on her opponents, no pun intended. Now, the Australian Football League saw this and said, we're not letting you get away with this anymore. This is just not fair. Trans athlete Hannah Mounsey has said that she is planning to initiate legal action against the Australian Football League over its new gender diversity policy for footballers. Mounsey slammed the policy that was introduced in October 2020 to allow participation of trans and gender diverse athletes in elite football competitions as discriminatory. This is not a step I take lightly and not one which I've had any desire to take if it could be avoided. However, I believe at this point I have no other option if I want to play football in the NFL Canberra first grade competition in 2021, Mounsey said in a statement posted on Twitter Friday night. For too long, the trans community has been on the fringes of society, and marginalized trans people deserve to be treated with the same amount of respect and dignity as the rest of society, to be made to feel a valued part of the community, said Mounsey. Now, Hannah, nobody's mad at you for being trans. I assume you still have all the same rights as you did when you still had balls, but the problem is you're not a professional cards player, you're not a professional runner. You play a contact sport where you have to tackle people. Men on average are stronger than women. You are stronger than most men. So when you tackle a girl, there is a real possibility that she gets hurt. And I don't think the Australian Football League wants to risk a lawsuit because some player got her bones turned into dust because of you. If the video evidence wasn't enough, this photo shows you everything you need to know. Hannah's leg is bigger than this girl's entire body. This girl on the left is definitely more built than most girls, and yet even she is still dwarfed by Hannah. Now, it's one thing if you were born a woman and hit the genetic lottery and ended up being built like a tank. You can't do anything about that, you know what I mean? But here we have an individual who was born as a dude and played with dudes his entire life. If any of you has played a sport to any capacity, you know that the way guys train is very different to the way girls train. All the drills I was running with my teammates were way more demanding physically and mentally than what the girls were doing. But like I said, I'm fully supportive of Hannah dominating these leagues because I love to see when a player comes in and just annihilates everyone. And secondly, it's hilarious to see the feminist meltdown because on one hand, they ask for true equality, and when we give it to them, they get angry. So this situation is a fucking comedy fest. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. The goal is to hit 400,000 subscribers. Do follow me on Twitch and Twitter. The links are in the description below. So with all that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. See you guys in the next video. Peace. Through the wastelands,